I just sensed that there could be something in my family history that would be disappointing. Negative, yes. I thought I was going to have that kind of moment. And Skip had asked me to do it for a long time. And I finally decided to do it because I thought it'd be helpful for my children.
On The View, Sunny Hostin had built a strong reputation as a fearless and unwavering social justice advocate. She gained notoriety for relentlessly denouncing racism, inequality, and historical injustices, often making others face harsh truths. But when Sunny appeared on PBS's Finding Your Roots, everything was different. When Sunny disclosed on the show that her third great-grandfather had owned slaves, she was visibly taken aback. Even though the audience was similarly horrified, Sunny decided to brush the discovery aside as a remnant of a different time, a sad but distant chapter in history. The response was swift and strong, with both supporters and detractors questioning how someone so outspoken about addressing historical injustices could so readily minimize the difficult background of her own family. Accusations of hypocrisy and double standards were rampant on social media. Because of what they saw as an unusual lack of reflection, even Sunny's most ardent supporters began to feel concerned. Sunny Hostin's strong moral position seemed shaky as she sat across from genealogist Henry Louis Gates Jr. It felt like the perfect opportunity to uncover a tale that would support her strong public position on reparations and race. Even though she was poised, confident, and prepared to explore her heritage on Finding Your Roots, what she discovered shocked her to her very core. It was not at all what she had anticipated. Her polished veneer crumbled, her confidence wavered, and her reaction was a combination of discomfort and incredulity. Stuttering, she said, "Wow, I'm a little bit in shock. I just considered myself to be part Puerto Rican, you know. I didn't believe that my ancestors were slaveholders from Spain." Sunny's family were European slave owners who had directly benefited from the very system she had spent her career criticizing. This revelation stood in stark contrast to her long-held belief that her ancestors were downtrodden minorities or struggling immigrants. For a moment, the uncomfortable silence in the room seemed heavier than her words as her voice trembled. Attempting to save face, Sunny claimed that her kids would find this new information fascinating. However, the damage had already been done. The internet soon erupted with comments, memes, and discussions about the irony of her discovery. But if the discomfort of the revelation wasn't enough, her reaction's lack of self-awareness brought even harsher criticism. Sunny dismissed the revelation as a part of life, leaving both audiences and critics startled by her unwillingness to confront the contradiction. Greg Gutfeld then chimed in, eager to emphasize the apparent discrepancies in Sunny's narrative.
Yeah. I know. It's weird because when you look at her, my mother's blonde and she has light eyes and my whole family looks like that. So I think inside I sort of knew that this was my history and that's probably why I didn't want to do it. And I spoke to my mom about it. She was deeply disappointed. She actually cried about it.
While Greg Gutfeld's critique was biting, the true turmoil happened online when social media exploded with discussions about Sunny Hostin's admission. The hypocrisy was too evident to overlook, and the internet turned it into a spectacle. People couldn't stop laughing at the ironic memes that poured in, with captions like, "Sunny Hostin, discovering that her family owned slaves, is the plot twist no one saw coming. Reparations look like she'll be paying herself first." However, several fans defended Sunny, arguing that she shouldn't be held accountable for the actions of her ancestors. The argument wasn't entirely lighthearted. One advocate remarked, "You can't control where you come from," while others took a more critical stance. "What's at issue here isn't who should be held accountable," one critic pointed out. "It's her hypocrisy in ignoring her own history while demeaning others for theirs for years." Users emphasized that this could have been an opportunity for reflection, rather than denial. A commenter suggested, "Imagine if she had owned it, reflected on it, and used it as a teaching moment instead of brushing it off and acting like it didn't matter." Sunny's careless shrug and dismissal of the revelation as a fact of life left many with a bad taste in their mouths. Online, there was a mix of disappointment, anger, and laughter. This wasn't just about Sunny's personal hypocrisy. It raised a larger issue about moral posturing and the carelessness of high-profile figures. As the debates and memes mounted, one question persisted. Would Sunny use this opportunity to engage in meaningful dialogue, or would it be ignored? Sunny had unwittingly become a case study in the very double standards she had always decried. Her reaction made her the subject of intense scrutiny. Stay tuned as Greg Gutfeld and others continued to press the issue, and Sunny grappled with the fallout.
She said, maybe that's why I have been so connected to Black culture, because it's an atonement in my spirit. And I received that. I also found out that, and there were slaves on both sides of her family, mothers and fathers, but we are 7% indigenous Puerto Rican.
The public was curious as to why Sunny, who had always held others to a high moral standard, was suddenly evading accountability for the deeds of her forebears. The criticism, however, wasn't limited to those with differing opinions. Even Sunny's loyal fans began to feel unhappy with the careless way she handled such a significant revelation. Although her once unwavering moral compass now seemed shaky, this was just the beginning. As the world started to question Sunny's integrity, another storm was brewing, one that would expose her co-host, Behar, and spark a conflict unlike anything The View had ever seen. It wasn't Sunny, but Joy who would take the next step. Behar sat in stunned silence for a few moments, staring at Sunny as the audience held its breath, captivated by the electrifying atmosphere in the studio. Sunny mentioned that Joy wasn't going to ignore Melania Trump's $100 million lawsuit, which couldn't be dismissed as just another one of Joy's jokes. This wasn't a joke or a humorous comment. Joy's voice remained calm, though her expression shifted from astonishment to one of intensity and purpose. Do you mean to say that Melania Trump's lawsuit is my fault? Joy's words hung thick in the air, and the tension in the room was palpable. Sunny hesitated, clearly sensing the gravity of what she had implied. But the damage was done. Joy didn't wait for an answer. She launched into a pointed and caustic rejoinder, reminding Sunny live on TV of all the opportunities she had been given to speak out against racism and injustice. Joy drew attention to the glaring contradiction. Sunny had never shied away from holding others accountable, yet she was suddenly unwilling to accept responsibility when faced with her own family's turbulent history. What is the reason for your inability to hold yourself to the same standards as everyone else? Joy's words hit like a hammer, though her voice remained steady. She wasn't just defending herself, she was also exposing Sunny's conflicting stance. But Sunny's troubles didn't end there. Behind the scenes, the internet was a seething battleground of criticism. Sunny had made a critical misstep, inadvertently placing her co-host, Joy Behar, at the center of the unfolding chaos.
I have an ancestor, my third great-grandfather, immediately registered to vote, even though he was illiterate. And he voted with an X, Dean Cummings with an X. And then he was threatened with lynching by the KKK, by others in the South.
The unrelenting nature of the internet turned Sunny's revelation into a full-blown character crisis. What had begun as a personal disclosure now escalated into a controversy that could change everything. Tensions grew as Melania Trump prepared her $100 million lawsuit, which threatened not only Sunny's reputation, but also the foundation of the show itself. Social media platforms became battlegrounds. Threads dissecting Sunny's words gained traction. Viral articles scrutinized her every move. Memes flooded timelines, and hashtags questioning her integrity trended across platforms. Sunny Hostin, a passionate advocate for justice who had built her career on unwavering moral principles, suddenly found herself on the defensive. For a brief moment on TV, Sunny's audience felt as uneasy as she did when she revealed that her third great-grandfather had been a slaveholder. This revelation was startling, particularly coming from someone so outspoken about addressing systemic racism and historical injustice. Though her shock was undeniable, what followed left many in disbelief. Rather than confronting the revelation with the responsibility she so often demanded of others, Sunny dismissed her family's history as merely a product of its time. The disclosure cast a shadow over her public persona and family legacy. Despite continuing to speak out on issues of justice and racism, the revelation left an implicit undertone of contradiction in her activism. For Sunny, the challenge was not just about addressing her family's past. It was about striking a balance between personal accountability and public advocacy in deeply personal circumstances. The public reaction to Sunny's revelation was swift and unforgiving. Both fans and critics took to social media, demanding answers. How could someone so vocal about the need for historical accountability seem to downplay her own family's troubled past? The accusations of hypocrisy were relentless. Sunny, who had so often emphasized the importance of confronting uncomfortable truths, suddenly found herself defending her moral authority. Her loyal followers were disappointed and confused by her dismissal of her ancestors' actions as simply a product of the times. This response seemed out of character and deeply unsettling. Under siege from all sides, Sunny faced a wave of criticism, while her detractors seized the moment to cast her in a negative light. The trust she had worked so hard to build was quickly eroded by the mounting disappointment. As the controversy continued to unfold, what had once been a foundation of strength and steadfast conviction now appeared fragile and uncertain. So, what do you think?